In a serene hospital room, an elderly woman named Rose rested quietly in her bed, enveloped by the gentle beeping of machines and the distant murmur of nurses outside her door. She had been contending with a painful ailment for quite a while, but today felt different. As she slowly opened her eyes, a surprising lightness filled her body, and a sense of tranquility washed over her heart. Something she hadn't felt in years. It was like a heavy burden had been lifted, granting her the freedom to breathe deep once more. Her gaze drifted around the room until it settled on a new arrival, a doctor with kind, familiar eyes and a comforting presence. "Good morning, Rose," he greeted her warmly, pulling a chair closer to her bedside. "I'm Dr. Ellis." A smile broke across Rose's face. Her heart fluttered with recognition. There was an undeniable warmth about him, as if she had known him for a lifetime. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Doctor," she replied softly. For the next week, Michael returned daily, bringing with him laughter and stories that filled the room with warmth. They reminisced about their own cherished memories, with Rose sharing tales of her two granddaughters and the joy they brought into her life, while Michael recounted his childhood in vivid detail. One afternoon, Michael was acting a little different, his usual lively demeanor replaced by a quiet thoughtfulness. "Rose," he began, his voice softer than usual, "there's something I've been wanting to tell you." "What is it, Doctor?" she asked, sensing an importance in his words. Michael hesitated. A flicker of vulnerability crossed his face. "There was a girl I grew up with, a girl I admired from afar for the longest time. She didn't know how often I noticed her smile, how it lit up the entire schoolyard. I was too shy to approach her, but I watched her, hoping one day to find the courage to speak to her. That day finally came, the day before I was drafted into the army. Her name was Rose." Rose's breath caught in her throat as the words settled over her. "Michael?" He nodded, his eyes searching hers. "It was you, Rose. I loved you long before I ever said a word. I still remember that day. My hands were trembling when I finally asked you out." A flood of memories surged through Rose's mind, and she felt tears welling in her eyes. "That was you?" she whispered. "I remember the boy who asked me out for hamburgers and French fries. He was so nervous, but so sweet." Michael's lips curled in a wistful smile. "That was the happiest day of my life. We sat in the little diner in the corner, laughed and talked like we'd known each other forever. You ordered a milkshake, a bright pink one, and teased me when I got ketchup on my shirt." Rose laughed. Her heart swelled at the memory. "And you insisted on giving me your jacket when the breeze picked up, even though you were shivering the whole way home." Michael chuckled softly. "I wanted to impress you. I didn't care if I froze, as long as you were warm." Rose's laughter faded as she gazed at him, her heart aching. "But the next day, you disappeared." His expression grew somber, and he nodded. "I was drafted into the army and sent to Vietnam. I trained as a military doctor, hoping to make a difference, but my life ended there. I never got the chance to tell you how much that one evening meant to me, or how often I thought of you, even in the chaos of war." Tears spilled down Rose's cheeks as the weight of the words sank in. "Michael, all these years, I never forgot you. I didn't realize how much you cared." He reached for her hand, holding it gently in his own. "I've been watching over you, Rose, and when your time here came to an end, I wanted to be the one to guide you, to tell you how much you've always meant to me." Her heart raced. A mixture of disbelief and longing flooded her senses. "Guide me? What do you mean?" Michael's eyes softened, and he spoke with a tender understanding. "Rose, we've already crossed over. You've been in pain for so long, but now you're free." The room seemed to brighten with a glow as the realization dawned on Rose. She felt a wave of emotions. Fear, joy, and acceptance blended into a profound sense of peace. "Michael," she whispered, her voice trembling, Will you stay with me? Always, he promised, his voice thick with emotion. Together they stepped into a golden light, their hands clasped as they left behind the burdens of their earthly lives. In this new beginning, they were no longer separated by time, distance, or fear. The love that had waited so long was finally theirs, eternal and unbroken. As Rose and Michael stepped into the radiant light, a feeling of warmth enveloped them, as if they were being embraced by the universe itself. The air shimmered with a golden hue, and the world around them transformed into a breathtaking landscape filled with vibrant colors and soft, ethereal melodies. The heaviness of their previous lives melted away, replaced by a sense of boundless freedom and joy. "Where are we?" Rose asked, her voice filled with wonder as she looked around at the breathtaking scenery. Fields of wildflowers stretched endlessly before them, their colors more vivid than anything she'd ever seen. In the distance, a shimmering river glistened under a bright, warm sun that didn't seem to cast shadows. "This is a realm of love and peace," Michael replied, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "It's a place where we can heal, where we can finally be ourselves without the burdens we carried before." As they walked together hand in hand, Rose felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. She could hear the laughter of children in the distance, the joyous barks of dogs, and the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze. Everything felt alive, and she couldn't help but smile as she took it all in. "Look," Michael pointed to a group of figures in the distance. "Those are your loved ones. They've been waiting for us." Rose's heart swelled with emotion as she recognized familiar faces, friends and family members who had passed on before her. They were gathered in a circle, their smiles radiant and welcoming. As they embraced, Michael stepped back, allowing Rose to reconnect with her family. He watched with a smile, his heart swelled with pride and love. He knew how much this reunion meant to her. He had longed for her to experience this joy. The atmosphere was filled with warmth and laughter as they shared stories of their past lives, of the moments they cherished, and of the love that had never faded. Rose felt an overwhelming sense of peace, knowing that the love she shared with her family continued to thrive, untainted by the passage of time. After a while, Michael approached Rose, who was still surrounded by her loved ones. "Shall we explore together?" he asked, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "Yes, let's," she replied, her heart racing with joy. Together they ventured into the vast landscape, discovering hidden glades and tranquil ponds, each more beautiful than the last. They chased rainbows and danced under the brilliant sun, reveling in the pure joy of their newfound existence. As they walked, Rose began to understand the true nature of this place. It was not just a paradise, it was a manifestation of love, where every dream she had ever had could come true. She felt a sense of purpose here, a calling to help others navigate their own journeys. "Michael," she said one day as they rested by the river, "I want to share this love with others. I want to help those who are lost, just like we once were." Michael nodded, his expression serious yet filled with admiration. "You have always had that gift, Rose. You've touched so many lives. Here you can do that on a grander scale. There are souls who need guidance, who are struggling to find their way. You can help them see the beauty in their journey." Inspired by his words, Rose began to envision her purpose in this new realm. She imagined guiding those who had passed, helping them find peace and acceptance, just as Michael had helped her. Together, they would create a sanctuary where love and healing could flourish. One day, as Rose wandered through a field of blooming wildflower, a strange sensation washed over her. It was faint, like a whisper carried in the wind, but it tugged at her heart. She paused, closed her eyes to focus on the feeling. "Michael," she called, her voice tingled with urgency. "Do you feel that? There's someone, a soul, but she feels lost, like she's trapped somehow. Michael appeared by her side, his brow furrowed in concern. I don't sense it as clearly as you do, but if you feel it, then it must be true. Some souls get caught between worlds, unable to fully let go or move on. We'll find out how to help her, Rose. Rose nodded, her heart aching for the young presence she felt. A girl, scared and alone, but no matter how much she tried, the connection remained elusive, like a shadow just out of reach. I'll find her, Rose vowed, determination in her voice. She needs us, and I won't give up. Michael placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You'll find her, Rose. If anyone can, you can. Later that evening, Michael led her to a quiet meadow illuminated by the soft glow of twilight. Spread out on a checkered blanket was a surprise picnic. 3 hamburgers, a pile of golden French fries, and 2 glasses of colorful drinks. Rose gasped in delight. A wave of nostalgia washed over her. Michael, she whispered, tears pricking her eyes. It's just like our first date. He grinned, his expression warm. I thought it was time we had a proper second date. No interruptions this time. They sat together, the familiar taste of their simple meal bringing back memories of that long-ago evening. Rose laughed as Michael retold the story of his ketchup mishap, and he teased her for trying to steal his fries. The moment was perfect, timeless, and filled with the love that had waited so long to share. As the sun set in a blaze of colors that painted the sky, Rose turned to Michael, her heart full. Thank you for bringing me here, for helping me remember who I truly am. Michael smiled, a glimmer of pride in his eyes. And thank you for embracing your purpose. Together we are creating something beautiful. But as the stars began to twinkle overhead, Rose's thoughts drifted back to the young girl she had sensed. She's out there, Michael, she said softly. She's scared, and I need to help her. Michael took her hand, his gaze steady. And you will. I'll be by your side every step of the way. In this timeless place, Rose had found not only love, but also her calling. With Michael by her side, she knew they would shine a light in the darkness, guiding lost souls from the peace they deserved. Through the journey ahead was uncertain, Rose felt a deep sense of purpose, ready to help the girl who needed her. Their story wasn't over. It was only beginning, a legacy of love and hope that would echo